All right, we're live.
Hey everybody.
Hey, how are you, Taylor?
I'm good. I can't find my wired headphones, so I got some wireless ones in. Do I sound okay?
You sound great. You
Cool.
sound
And if they
totally
run out
fine.
of battery or anything, just start flapping your arms around like crazy so I can go get the other ones.
Sounds good.
Cool.
Sounds good. Yeah. Why don't you start us off by telling us what's new at Distribute Aid?
Oh boy. Yeah, our EU team continues to just do a phenomenal job. We got a few more folks showing up in Belgrade next week, I believe. And they're doing a lot of fun stuff. Like we've been advising a student who wanted to collect backpacks for a project she volunteered with. She's from Switzerland and was volunteering in Greece, and so she said, "Hey, I think I can get 500 backpacks." Well, she ended up with 2,500 backpacks.
Whoa.
So we're working through, the logistical stuff. Unfortunately, she also raised a bunch of money. That's what we always tell people: is take people's aid, but also, put a couple bucks in the can, for each backpack you collect. So I think, yeah, shipping costs are covered, and it's really great to see folks be able to scale up like that with our support, right?
Yeah.
And take on larger, more ambitious projects rather than having to turn people away who want to help. What else is going on over there? We just had 3 containers arrive in Lebanon, which is very exciting. So I think that makes our 7th shipment is in port. And an interesting thing happened with that one. It's a community container from the UK sending aid to refugee support groups. And Lebanon's going through a pretty brutal winter right now.
Yeah. Oh,
So as
wow.
we got all those masks there, which should help with COVID as well as just general, health and safety sort of stuff. This one's a lot of clothing, so winter clothing and things like that. But there was a big storm at the port of Beirut, which caused a 7+ day backlog on ships unloading there. So the shipping company, there's a Latin term, I forget what it is, but they pulled one of those Latin terms in the contracts on us and
Yeah.
redirected their ship to the port of Tripoli. So we had to kind of on the fly, reroute the container delivery from Tripoli to Beirut, and then set up kind of an unloading space there, so we can split the aid up 2 different groups. So
Wow.
yeah, fun times in global logistics.
I was just gonna say this is really all about that management of logistics and doing that in a way
Yeah.
that's sustainable for the team.
Yeah. Oh, and you can see where things like our shipment tracker platform become incredibly valuable, as we get that out the door and then get groups signing up with that and telling us about their infrastructure. That becomes a much less human intensive process because we
Yeah.
have all the data from our partners. So we know, okay, here's how much warehouse space is available. Here's who we can ask for a favor, things like that. And we can use that platform to do these redirects rather than having to do it all kind of on the fly manually. Um,
Wow.
so yeah, what else is going on? Romania seems to be a potential next route for us. We've had 3 or 4 aid groups reach out about shipping to Romania, and one
Oh,
of the
really?
things I like about that is that it shares a border with the Ukraine, and there's a lot of tensions around the Ukraine right now. So obviously we're tracking that potential conflict, and would love to get aid in if there is an invasion. The best time to get it in would be now, but unfortunately, people tend to wait, until something happens and then want to respond to it. So obviously, that's where some of the tracking of supplies, again, using that shipment platform to track what people have available and where it's located, so that we can cut down on the response time after an event happens. But I'm not sure our commercial shipping partners would be thrilled about sending a truck driver, and we wouldn't want to put anyone in harm's way,
Of course.
sending someone into an active war zone. But if we can get stuff to the Romanian-Ukrainian border, then it might be possible to work with local groups, on the Ukraine side to come pick it up and get it to people who need it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow.
What else is going on? Oh, I got something really fun for the work it ticket. One sec.
Sure.
So this is a challenge coin that a
Hold up.
2-star
Let me.
general, General Fahey, gave to me. And so, yeah, he came by to do a stop on the Distinguished Visitors Tour, and he's the kind of head honcho for the 4th Marines. Later today, I actually have a 4-star general coming by who's the boss of all the Marines. But it's cool. I didn't expect to get a challenge coin. And I'll be living with my brother, who's been in the Army for 6 years after this as we scale up our U.S. response. So Nate's a bit jealous. I've done 3 months of, kind of working alongside our military colleagues here and gotten a higher ranking challenge coin than him, which is great because if you go to the bar with a bunch of military folks and you slap one of these guys on the table, everyone else has to pull theirs out, and the lowest person with a challenge coin has to buy the next round of drinks. So
Wow.
I'm looking forward to going with the bar with my brother quite a bit when I'm living with him.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah, no, we're up for some awards for our work, which is cool. It's always nice. We don't really feel like we need that external validation, but it's certainly nice to get recognized, and then to show other organizations, especially as we set up larger partnerships. Like, hey, like we've done the work and gotten recognized for it. Just kind of cuts through some of that early relationship building red tape of like, are these guys legit? Are they serious? And I shouldn't say guys, I should say girls, because most of our full-time team, we're led by women and everything. So, yeah. I think the last update for anyone in the audience who's in the U.S., we already got 70 pallets of extra aid from Fort Pickett redirected to our partners at the Islamic Circle of North America, who are working with resettlement agencies. We sent that to their kind of Virginia branch. There's going to be at least another 100 pallets of aid, which I have about a week to find a home for. So we're setting up other large partnerships with folks like Team Rubicon, who have been involved in the kind of warehousing and logistics side of this response. We took over for them at Pickett, and they've been working at other bases. But in general, we're really starting to scale up our phase 2 response to support resettled Afghans. So obviously donate if you can. That's super helpful. We're going to be taking the extra funding we raised for Fort Pickett and kind of rolling that into this phase 2 response. But if you're in touch with any community groups, that are supporting resettled Afghans, or if you know anyone with a warehousing space, we'd love to talk to you for sure.
Best way to get in touch would be the Twitter handle for Distribute Aid. Is that correct?
Yeah. Just DM us. I think that's a good public intake channel there. Shoot us a DM on Twitter, and we'll take it from there. So kind of in the exploratory part of the phase 2 response here, but obviously need to find a good home for this aid, and then work with the receiving groups to, it's usually central warehouse. So we got 20 to 50 pallets, and then work with them to feed that to a bunch of community groups.
Awesome. Thanks for the updates, Taylor. As always, I want to say, yeah, but that's great. Like that's great that so much is happening and that so much can be done. I want to share out, if I may, as always, the Open Collective link for Distribute Aid. Folks, if you want to donate either with code, or if you've got finances that you can donate, like those are totally contributions and open source contributions you're making. So please, check out the Open Collective link for Distribute Aid. And as said, anything helps. Open source work, even just being here, you're helping out. So thank you for that.
100%. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. So, sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, Taylor. Did you have any other updates you wanted to share with us?
Nope. I think I'm good. I'll save anything else for next week.
Sounds good. Sorry, give me 1 sec because my headphones are running out of battery. Speaking of running out of battery.
That's fair.
Give me 1 sec.
Are we cyborgs yet? Like we have to jack in,
Absolutely. So, should be good again. So, pardon my mess. Okay, let's talk about what we're doing today. Ooh, stuff is falling all around me. Okay, let's talk about. Oh God, I hope not. Let's talk about what we're doing today. We're going to be working on the distributed website and sort of follow up on what we launched last week, which is the Forestry CMS update. And also sort of talk about a discussion we had last week that is kind of leading to a reversal of what we did last week, which I'm excited to do here on the air because I think, well, before I explain why, let me explain what's going on. So when we deployed the new distributed website, we decided to change our deployment of the website by having a deploy branch called prod. And anytime we wanted to make a change to the website, we would, merge into Saga as we've always done to the Saga branch, but then start merging into prod every time we wanted to have a release. And so that would go up to Netlify. That was the change we made. But then we had a couple of conversations inside the team that I wanted to share with all of you today because I thought they were quite interesting. And I think it's really important to showcase that not every decision made in an open source project is forever. On the contrary, like sometimes you gotta, take those decisions back. That's just the way it goes.
And I would actually say trying to design with change in mind, right? Like there's so much of code that gets rewritten or updated or refactored, so making it easy to, both roll back code, but also roll back the decision making behind that code in order to move forward in a slightly different direction and improve everything overall is an important part of that sort of project management, project architecture piece. Keep it flexible, keep it iterative.
Well said. I couldn't have put it better myself. I think that's so important to bear in mind as you're taking these decisions, which are not forever, as you said. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. And we had some great contributions in the last week, which I've merged already. So let me bring up our GitHub. Yeah. Hope the size is okay, folks. Let me know if it's not. So what we've got here is our distributed website. And let me open up Netlify. Shall we start by reversing that change?
Yeah.
Taylor?
Yeah, let's start there.
Actually, before we do that, I want to explain why we're doing it, what the reasoning behind doing it is, because it's actually something that came up last week, and that is Forestry CMS. So what happened was we added Forestry CMS to our repository, which meant that every time somebody made a change on Forestry CMS, that would be added as a commit to the Git repository, which is great, but it kind of messes with our manual release because ideally making a change in the CMS should mean that it gets automatically deployed. Otherwise, as a contributor who's making that CMS change, you're not going to see a whole lot new.
Yeah, and we don't want to make our admin or ops team jump through hoops. So we had set up the Saga branch as kind of our trunk branch, allowing us to potentially merge in multiple PRs and, collect changes there, maybe review them together on staging. And then we had that prod branch auto deploy to through Netlify, right? And so that just gave us a little bit of an extra chance to kind of get a bundle of work done, review it all together and get it out the door. A little bit of extra safety, having that, quick manual merge from Saga to prod. But the issue with Forestry is that it makes the commits directly, which is hugely beneficial. It means that, admin and ops can see their changes go live right away, right? Yeah. It means they don't need to contact a developer. Like, we're not holding them up. They don't have to wait on us for stuff. And it keeps the content both in the repo, but also in the repo's history. So if we're rolling stuff back, it's easy to roll back content changes and things like that using the tools we're already familiar with. So that's all good. But Forestry needs to commit to a branch. And so if Forestry is committing to Saga, then people have to wait on changes going to prod. We set up Forestry to commit to prod. Those changes will go live, but now our two branches are getting out of sync. The code's collecting in Saga and the content is collecting in prod. So rather than it be a simple one-way merge where we're always going from Saga to prod, now we have to merge the two branches into each other, and it suddenly gets a lot more complex.
Exactly. So the idea, correct me if I'm wrong, is to revert our prod change. So remove the prod branch and make Saga the deploying branch once again.
Exactly. And so we can still get some of the benefits of bundling changes, but doing that at a feature branch level. If there's a number of related commits that we want to stage and test together before deploying, we can set up a longer running feature branch to act as the trunk for that bundle and then merge that feature branch into Saga. Right. I love it. V prevails. It's complex with some of this kind of code merging, organizing strategy, but getting it right really solves a lot of these issues in a way that everyone wins.
So V Prevail says more like a release branch.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So let's do that. I believe that here we've got our default branch is still Saga, and we can remove the branch protection rules for prod because we're gonna remove prod.
Yep, I think so.
So let's do that. This action cannot be undone. That's totally fine. Good thing GitHub is secure. I'm never going to complain about that.
Yep.
Never, ever going to complain about that. So that's done. Next, we need to delete the branch itself.
So we might want to be careful there. We might want to make the change on Netlify first and then delete the prod branch. Now, hopefully Netlify wouldn't do something like take the site down if the branch gets deleted. But
it's a good question because on the one hand, it shouldn't, in my opinion. I'm not going to try and say if I were Netlify, because if I were Netlify, I wouldn't have. I would need to be a lot more clever about how to do this sort of thing. But since the deploy is done every time the branch is pushed, I don't think it should delete it, but let's play it safe. So that would be, I hope the size is okay. It seems okay.
It seems fine to me. But no, that gets into some of the complexity of not just hooking up different libraries or frameworks together on the code front, but hooking up different developer and ops tools, right? And where a GitHub action might get triggered on branch delete that Netlify responds to, but we don't necessarily know. We haven't dived into that documentation. And so doing it this way just kind of removes that as a potential concern and kind of removes the potential complexity there. But yeah, that's one of the things I fear most is, and I'm sure that people doing distributed systems work with Kubernetes and stuff, there's all sorts of, tripwires like, oh, I meant to delete this one instance, but I accidentally removed the image and then it took all of the instances down or something like that. Right.
Exactly.
I think it also speaks to the point that development teams need to be able to make mistakes safely. And that's a big thing, especially across our ops teams as well at DistributeAid. We try to give people room to make mistakes because that's how we learn in a lot of the cases. And especially since we're pushing the envelope in so many ways, like doing new stuff, doing complex stuff, we're not going to get it right every single time. And so I think it's all about having that margin of safety, that buffer. How can we give people that room to make a mistake and learn from it and figure out how the new thing works without putting their position or their role or the organization in jeopardy, right? I never want to blame an individual. I really like that NASA sort of style response, if something goes wrong, or you're looking at the processes and the systems which didn't provide that margin of safety or allowed a mistake to go through, rather than looking at the people and kind of blaming them, right?
Yeah, I know what you mean. And that makes total sense to me. So I've now removed prod and our production branch is now Saga.
Nice.
So that's one step done. I believe we can ask it to manually deploy. Let me just take a look here. So it was last published a week ago. So what we want to do is do a manual deploy, I think. Trigger deploy. Is that fine?
Yeah, that looks okay.
So deploy site. So now that's going to build from Saga.
Mm-hmm.
While that goes, I'm going to go ahead and remove our prod branch.
Sounds good.
So I think I can do that from here. I think. I'm going to try this for just a moment, and if I don't find it, I'm just going to give up and open up a Git pod. Because...
That's all good. I'm going to turn my screen off for just a second, refill my coffee. I have a long day ahead of me. I'll be right back.
Take your time, Taylor. All good here. I'm going to go ahead in the meantime and set up Git pod because I give up. I'll admit I didn't try for very long, but I do want to keep this, not terribly uninteresting as I, fumble around the GitHub interface. Yeah. I've realized that I'm pretty terrible at complex web interfaces.
Well, and again, that goes back to the complexity of the tooling that we have. Sometimes I yearn for the days of FTPing, the HTML and CSS up to the cheap web host, right? Yeah.
V Prevail says, well, maybe they should not be complex then. I mean, yes, yeah. Fair. Very fair. I'm not going to disagree with that. Where are the table-based websites? Oh, goodness. Yeah.
We got grid now in CSS, which just seems like a fancy way to do tables.
I have to say, ever since Flexbox came around, I have never, ever been unhappy with CSS stuff.
Yeah.
Like, whenever I talk to some more, let's say, backend oriented friends who say like, CSS is too difficult and all that, I tell them, have you tried Flexbox? It solves everything for me.
I feel like there are a lot of people who are stuck on that pre-Flexbox, like the divs and margin and float sort of era of CSS. Yeah. And that's where they tried it out. They're like, nope, I'm a back-end person, and they never tried it since then.
Exactly. So git push origin, and I'm just going to delete prod. Fine?
Yeah.
That should do it. So we've deleted the prod branch. Excellent.
Looks good.
This is still building. That's good. What does vPrevail say? That is true. I've never had to use float, for example. I jumped in when Flex was just new.
You're lucky.
Yeah, but it's at the same time, I think it's good because, it gives you, I think you were just at that time when you probably all these blog posts were coming around saying, like, hey, if try Flexbox, it's great. And you get that perspective of, also of how it was like before. From people writing about it. So I think that's a good perspective to have.
Totally. No, I remember coming in kind of right at the end of the era of like IE6 where there's still a bunch of hacks, but like people are starting to move beyond that. And so I kind of learned about, IE7 and 8 still got some of that early complexity from the Microsoft tools and all those workarounds. And then things, a lot of the CSS resets and things like that started coming out. So it was good to be part of that transition and learn about it, but I'm very glad that collectively we've solved some of those problems of making sure browser features like our code can kind of adjust and adapt to them so that we can just write code that works and the tooling handles the differences between browsers.
Yeah, totally. I couldn't agree more. So our website is now live. It's now completely hooked into Forestry CMS.
Nice.
And we've actually had, let me just go back and show you some of the stuff that I've been merging today. We've merged in a bunch of accessibility and SEO issues by Rabea. So thank you, Rabea, for that.
Shout out, Rabea.
Yeah, she's doing fantastic work. And Maxime created a forestry template for the routes.
Yep. And now that we deployed from Saga, we're actually, because we held off on merging Saga into prod, but this should be using the forestry setup now in production.
Correct.
Nice.
Correct. In fact, I mean, what shall we do next, Taylor? Like we've got the opportunity. Let me take a look, if I may, at the code here. There's one, like I still have yet to check out Forestry CMS, I have to admit.
That's okay. I'm logged in right now, so that might be a good split. Is you can handle the code side, and then I can share my screen and handle the content side on Forestry.
Yeah. Do you want to start us off by? Well, before I do that, let's. There's one to do that I saw. Where did I see that? Let me just search the project for to do. There's one to do that we talked about. Move to our
I think there's
CSS.
more than one in the project, but yeah, it
Ah,
was
that's
the static images, right?
what is this, like 15 to dos? That I would
Yeah.
say is not bad
Yeah.
from my experience. So one of the to dos is to move the images to our CMS.
Right, because we're importing them manually there rather than, and so that means that the images we're uploading them to the project and like adding them directly in Git and then importing them, which means that they're not flexible, right? That kind of defeats the purpose of Forestry if someone has to go in and change the code and stuff like that. So that seems like a
Exactly.
really good thing to try to tackle today. It gives us some content work side as well as some, some like coding side. We can see how Forestry works end to end.
Yeah. Awesome. So what do you think? Shall we take a look at Forestry to do that? Or what do you
Yeah,
think?
because I think the content for this, not the images, but the content for the how we help section is on Forestry. So why don't we use that and explore that and see how that's working, and then we can kind of go back and apply that to our to the images, kind of follow the same pathway there.
I think that's a great idea because we've got a how we help block, which comes from FC card props, and the card props come from. I'm already forgetting how this works. Let me open up the code here. Lee Prevail says, "I'm kind of curious what a contributor would have to do if they needed to use Forestry for the issue they're working on." And yeah, that's exactly what we're hoping to unblock. The cool thing is, like,
Yep.
I don't know, but I've done, other than reviewing PRs, I've actually never used a Forestry before, so this is going to be a learning experience for me as well.
Yeah, same for me.
Awesome. So we've got this is the how we help block where we've got these images as well as this text, and this text is coming from the homepage. I think no, apparently not.
Yeah, where
Oh,
is
these
that?
are the templates, and we want the content. That's it. Now I'm remembering. There it is. The how we help block. Nice. Right? So okay. Ideally what we would want to have here is an image, and it's alt text. Yeah. Something like image and alt text.
Yeah.
So I guess what we want to do is define those here.
So this is interesting because I like this about Forestry. As devs, we can go in and change stuff directly in the markdown files, right?
Yeah.
And that's a good way, to get quick feedback, make quick changes. I think it's also possible to run Forestry locally, and so you can have that visual editor, although I'm not 100% sure how to do that. So I don't necessarily want to spend the whole stream messing around with that if that's not easy. It might be easy though, so we can take a look and see if it's documented already.
Let's see if it's documented exactly. Yarn dev server, dev notes, crucial commands. Wait, I'm gonna preview this as markdown. Yeah, that's better. Where to put things? Content registry. Visit to view the configuration. Make a pull request through GitHub's UI, clone this repository and create a pull request, make changes in Forestry's UI, you'll need a Forestry account. So I don't think there's...
Okay.
This is configured.
So we have a Forestry account. So that's where I guess, people can make the changes directly using the markdown files and stuff like this here. And then we just need to get really efficient at facilitating access and adding folks to Forestry, which I think is just sign up with your Forestry account, and then we can add that account to our project or something. That might take another couple weeks. We need to reach out to their team and see if we can get the organization plan for free or something like that. So that's always a little bit slow when you have to add admin processes to it. But in the meantime, you can just go straight to that content directory, and as long as you're not breaking the markdown formatting, just kind of following the format, should be fine to make changes there.
So I don't want to look at this, but I want to go back to home. Right. Exactly. So what I'll do wait, is this the right place? Content pages, how marked. Yeah. How we help block. So for each, I'll have image and
well,
image.
let's do this because I'm logged in to Forestry right now. So let's see if we can add it through Forestry, and that'll show us how they deal with images, right? And then if we wanted to make those changes directly, we can just kind of copy, paste, modify from there.
That makes total sense. Let's do that. So if you want to share your screen, then I'll swap it out for yours. Yeah, that makes it super straightforward. There we go.
Sweet. Cool. So this is Forestry. We're logged in to the DA account, and you can see add sites. I think the organization bit's on a paid plan, so we're asking them if they want to ship it in for free. Shout out to my friends at Forestry.
Yes, please. Friends. That would be amazing.
Yeah. And so I'm just going to our site, and it's cool. You can see the different branches. So it might even be possible to make content stages on like a staging branch at some point, or have like a content branch that gets merged in.
That's
because there might be changes depending on how they save it in their publishing mechanism. We might want to make a change on the homepage and a change on other pages, like change the project summary on the homepage, and then change the project page and release that together. So we'll have to investigate that going forwards. But it's fairly intuitive here. We have, account stuff, and then we have pages. So that's what we're looking at. Here's the About Us page. We have the mission statement. I think we're looking at the homepage, right?
Oh, yeah. We want the homepage.
There we go. So headline, mission statement, and then this is how we help. And so Maxime set up these blocks so we can add a new block potentially with a title, a location, and a description. But what we really want to do here is go in and add additional content to, say, the Fort Pickett block. We probably don't want to do that in the markdown bit.
No.
So it looks like I'm going to want to change
how would we do that?
Yeah. So that's interesting.
So Forestry is essentially another interface for Git. Interesting. And yeah, exactly. It's essentially sort of like giving some of the change template maybe.
Oh no, that's just choosing. So there might be a templates that we can go into. Maybe site settings. No, these are just constants for the site.
Yeah. Let me look it up as well.
Okay. Yeah, maybe if you want to look at the docs while I'm playing around. But we definitely see media. So it's interesting. Maxime's added a bunch of media. I'm not sure if this is hooked up for the code, but this looks like it's happening on the routes pages. So if we go to our UK to France routes page, Maxime's moved all of this over. And then there's the frontline groups here. And yeah, they do have a logo field here. So we can look at this in the code if we wanted to, and kind of follow this format for image fields to get the images on there. Looks like there's other images which are pulled into the page for the backgrounds images for different sections. But how do we actually apply that to the homepage?
So, B Prevail says, is there not a schema defined somewhere maybe? I think templates are like schemas. They are in the Forestry front matter folder. So it might mean adding a new field in the schema. And I'm just looking at the documentation here.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what because I think you're right, B Prevails. I'm just going to quickly, if you don't mind, Taylor, I'm just going to, like nothing will change for you. I'm just going to re-add my screen. And here's what I think. So this is what I think we're dealing with. Collections are group content in your static site. These are feeds or hierarchies of content such as blog posts or landing pages. They appear under content in the sidebar. And pages. For Hugo and Jekyll, they appear in the pages section under content in the sidebar. Just point Forestry to your content in the sidebar settings to add new sections. So let's take a look at yours again.
Okay.
Let's have a look, because we've got pages there.
Yep, so we got pages.
We have routes. What's routes?
Routes, that's our shipping routes, right? That's where we the whole thing, because the label's confusing. So these are our shipping routes. They're not like routing in the computer science sense.
Yeah. So let's take a look at that home page again.
So this is a template that's been defined with different sorts of fields. So we'd probably want to edit the homepage template. And it looks like we might be able to use that collections thing down the road if we wanted to like have a collection of like say shipments and then use that in multiple places. But for right now, we're just trying to get the content up and running. My guess is that I either don't have permissions. I might just be an editor instead of like someone who can mess around with the schema. So we might want to inquire about the different permission levels in Forestry. But it also looks like we might be able to make changes at the code level. Like that's what I'd be curious about trying right now as a way forward. If we want to switch back to your screen, Ramon, we can look at what Maxime has done in the routes template or on these routes pages where there are images, right? This is what we want. We got kind of this, section here with frontline groups, which relates to the project section on the homepage. And then you click in and they have a logo. They have a logo here, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we can just make those changes at the code level and then it'll pop up here in Forestry once I refresh.
Let's do that then, because I think we got our settings here, which isn't anything related to that. Site settings, we've got those site settings. That's what we saw in the CMS.
Yeah, that's kind of site constants. So we're using that for like our social media. Maybe we'll add our logo and stuff like that down the road here.
Oh, this looks interesting. Yes, look, here's our how we help block. It's a type, fields, and here's our fields.
Right. So we probably want to look at the route page, right? And then copy some stuff, copy the right fields from the route page YML.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have images
so where's
here?
yeah, we do for the groups. So it'll be a little bit down. Something about the receiving groups or something. Yep, frontline groups.
That was it?
Yep, that's it.
Cool.
So
I don't see type file. Hey, that's it. That looks good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Would that be a PDF?
I am not sure,
Oh, good. Let's
Oh, name images. Yeah, right there, line 174. So label.
Oopsie. Oh yeah.
Frontline groups, name, images, type, field group, fields.
And each of these is a file.
Yeah, I think this is the images here for the background images. So let's try to find something about the type file, but further up. This is for the background images for the page.
We got 5 hits for that.
Yeah, let's look at the first one there.
I'm afraid they're all in this
groups. Oh, no, that's fine. So 156 there. We have frontline groups and type field groups list, and so that maps to that list of groups where we're showing their logos, and then it has the name logo, right? Type file. So what we want to do is look for something like name projects, which is a field group list, and then if we copy and paste line 164 through 168, I think. We'll be able to insert that onto the projects part.
Got it. So I'll bring that. Now go back to homepage YAML. So for the how we help block, we'll have
there's our on line 24 our field group list, and
exactly.
we're defining the fields.
And let's put that between. I would say this is probably super bike sheddy, but I would say between the location and the description.
Yeah, that sounds fine.
Name, image, type file, label. Image is fine.
Yeah, I think image is fine. That seems good. That kind of tracks with the the rest of how everything else is laid out, like title and title, stuff like that.
And then we'll need another one for image underscore alt. Right?
Yep.
And
yep, we're going to want a text there.
True.
Maybe. That's only going to be true if our image is true, right? Since we're setting it up as kind of independent fields on the same thing. But
yeah,
I think, yeah.
Fair point. So that should be done. I'm going to do a quick git diff because I never trust myself. That looks pretty good. So we're adding an image field and an image alt field.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's make a pull request. We don't have an issue name, so we'll call it add feature, add image field. Sorry. Get shortcuts from my computer. There we go. Cool.
Nice.
So that add dot, and this is definitely a feature.
Yep.
Add images fields, image fields to how we work block. This, gosh, if this works so out of the boxedly, this is going to be great.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
So git push origin, add feature. So I'll just turn that into a pull request.
Yep, and I think we'll probably have to merge it into Saga in order to get that field to show up on Forestry.
Yes, we will.
Just run through and merge it real quick.
Sure. I'll make it super super quick. Is that fine with you?
Yeah, go for it. Just merge it in. I think you're an admin now, so you can do the quick auto approve.
Let's see. Okay. As soon as that's done, I think I need to wait for that all to run, right?
Nah. Just use your admin privileges there.
Hey, it's me, Prevails. Cool to see you. You beat me to it. I'm excited. I can't wait to see this directly in Forestry.
Yeah.
So we're doing the checks and then it'll merge automatically, right?
I think so. Let's scroll down because we might need to under the checks there. Okay. Yeah. You did the admin thing. So it looks like we're just waiting. Yeah.
Cool.
I guess so.
Yes. I just got an email with the comment. Thank you, VPrevail.
In the meantime, if I'm logged on to Forestry, I need to get the images, but I should have those already. Let me just pull the latest down from the landing site, and that way I'll have them on my local computer. 1 sec.
Sounds good. You are never spamming. That is not spamming. I refuse. Sorry, I was talking to V Prevails.
That's all good. Yeah, no, engagement's good. It's fun. Like we're doing this with y'all. Is how we feel about the stream, right?
Bless you.
Excuse me. Okay, so that's pulling down all the latest stuff. Come on, checks.
Yeah.
What's the point of Moore's Law if we just have to wait for longer for all the additional stuff that we're running?
Just another day as a developer. Yep. Relatable. Gosh, I'm so excited to see this. But I think it's doing, because it's deploying a preview, then it's doing, I wonder if some of these can be skipped. I guess not.
That would be nice, though. Yeah, this might be something to figure out, though, if I guess it's not going to happen as frequently that we're making schema changes, but those do have to go through this merge process to make that available for the content editing. So...
Yeah. Guess we just got to be a little bit patient.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
of course,
nice.
they all pass at once. Yeah.
So let's refresh. I think we can refresh and merge, right? Auto merging to enable this and merge when all requirements are met. Oh, could you give it a quick approve, Taylor?
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you.
I thought you got around that by overriding it with the admin stuff, but let me jump in there real quick.
I just shared your screen. I hope you don't mind.
Sure.
It's now merged.
Yay!
Okay. Awesome. Thank you.
Cool. So now let's jump into Forestry here, and hopefully it'll be fairly quick to update.
Let's see. Last published 5:54 p.m. my time. So I think we need to wait a little bit for the deploy. How do I see that deploy in action?
No, we got it. It's live.
Really?
So I'm going to pages, and then I'm going to home. And then I'm going to here, and we got an image and an alt text.
Look at that.
Nice.
That is dope.
Cool. So
now you need those images, right?
Yeah, and the alt text. So I just want to pull up the
oh, nice, you pulled it up.
The alt text, and that would be.
And vPrevails makes a good point. I believe vPrevails that the images, well, they should be stored in the repo. The question is where.
I have the image. So that'll probably be in an images page here. Yep. So source images, but I think the alt text is going to be already.
Yeah, you're gonna have to get
merging that in. Where you were just looking at that file, was that?
That's the how we work. If you control, I don't know what you're using Sublime. I don't know if you can do a fuzzy search.
Yeah, I can. Is it how we work or how we help?
How we help.
How we help.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Thank you. Yeah, I think exactly. There we go.
So I'll just copy. Let's start with the refugee aid. There we go. There's the alt text, and then let's go upload. Oh, interesting. Okay. So this is our media, so we can automatically choose existing media that's up there, or we can upload new media. So we got distributeaid.org, and then we got source, images, home, and is this the right image here?
Let me confirm. You know what? I've got the code here. I'll confirm with you. That way you don't have to like switch
back and forth.
Yeah, give me just a sec to open how we. No, that's the wrong one. How we help section. So the first one is refugee aid image, which is how we help refugees.jpg. Yeah, that's the one.
Yep. Great. Cool. Uploading that, and it showed up here, which is awesome. Now the question is, can we go back and do all this at once? It looks like we can. So
yeah, you've got unsaved changes.
Yeah. So we'll just kind of merge all these in together here.
And the cool thing is, making these changes now won't affect the website because we haven't integrated those images into the component yet.
Yep. For sure. So in-kind donations. Oh, what a beautiful image description. Two men hugging.
Love it.
Nice. Yeah, and I think we might have to go through and look at the image quality here and see if we can't get the full images, because we should really be relying on Gatsby images to do
It's
the
perfect.
automatic web conversion and stuff. So that might be the next step, rather than, I'm looking at some of these file sizes. I'm like, it's not megabytes, but like it could be. And we'll just optimize using our tooling.
And that would be the Fort Pickett one. Third one from the, yeah.
Nice. Okay, cool. So that is all of them. And that was really cool. It's quick, easy, intuitive, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm going to save those changes. And now I can turn it back over to you, Ramón, so that we can remove the code manually from the hard link stuff and pull the content in from Forestry. Let's try to get that going.
Let's do it. So we're back on my side now. I believe because you've made those changes and you've taken care of them.
Yep.
Are the images now pulled in through GraphQL? I'm not sure, actually. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I'm not sure because it shouldn't necessarily.
Let's just mute Taylor so he can have his conversation in peace. So are the images now pulled through GraphQL? Yeah, let's see. I think how we help block. So I guess we can open up that how we help block, and we can see here it's an image tag. So it's not a GraphQL image. Right. We'll see. So, image alt text. And where is that image and alt text coming from?
So let's take a look at the the routes page, right? Because that's what Maxime is already using. So I think if we just follow that on the code side here, we should be good.
Good call. And I believe, oh, look at that. It re-added the files.
Yeah.
Which is totally fine. So you said that he did that in the routes page. Routes.
Yeah.
Do you remember which one it was? No, route page, right?
Yeah, that might be the template, but we might want to look at the forestry side. I'm not 100% sure. So there's the content. Yeah, let's take a look at that content right there. Cool. So we got the name and the logo that we should be able to pull from. And that's all going to be in uploads. So,
and that's how it looks.
Then on the actual route page template in source.
Whoopsie. There we go. The route page template. No, route page.
So where are we? Because we're still pulling a lot of images in there, but those imports might not be necessary.
It's this, right?
Yep.
Group.logo. That's fairly straightforward. So in theory, let's go back to the how we help section and remove these. Move this to our CMS. Now stuff should break.
Yep.
Or should it? Because it's... Oh, no. How we... yes. Here we go. So it's not from images anymore, but it's from... It comes from the section.
Yeah.
So I think we can just go section.image. I think.
So we're going to have to update because we're using TypeScript, right? So at the top there, the card props, we see the title and location, and then we added the image after the location, right? So we'll want the image and the alt text there.
But they're here.
Oh, okay. So maybe the how we help, the expansion on line 24 there, we're expanding the properties that are passed into the how we help block. Oh wait, no, export type on line 9. right? So the card props, they're there, but not on the how we help block there. And that maps to what we saw in Forestry.
Cool. Tracks. So here we can, yeah, now it's working. Whoopsie. That should be good. Let's have a look here. This is the live site, and here's our local one. Just going to do a refresh here. So not working just yet. But let's have a look as to why. I see here it doesn't have a source.
Yeah, or an alt text. So something's not getting hooked up. This sounds like a great opportunity to use CodeC to kind of find out where we're going wrong in the data flow.
Good call. Let's do that. By the way, Taylor, I know we had to keep it down to an hour today. Are you good to go for a little bit longer? Or do you have a hard stop?
I could probably do another 5 minutes. I do have to jump on our advisory call meeting.
Good. Taylor, I
but
don't
even
if
I need to jump off, it sounds like we're on track here. And you can use the what Maxime did with those routes pages as your kind of guiding star to wrap this up here. If you want to keep going.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Cool.
I'll do that. So let's see what we got. That was under the how we help section block.
Yeah.
I'm just going to look it up. How we help section. That's the loading part. There it is.
Mm. Oh, there's my feature request for the stream, right? As pages get larger and more complex, and there's a lot more, kind of nesting going on. If there could be like a search for, CodeC maps and CodeC recordings where like I want to see the how we help section and everything related to the how we help section. But if the code's gone through a different path, if it has unrelated siblings or whatever, like if you could just take out all of that, noise in the execution flow, kind of scope it down. So you could use the maps as like, here's how we help, here's everything that from the maps that relates to that. And then on the recordings, be like, I want how we help and, like up and down dependencies, but nothing unrelated. That's one of the easier feature requests, I feel like.
I agree.
Still like a big feature request, but you all have already done the work, on the underlying data side with the maps and stuff. So
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
No, this sounds great. Now, what I realize here is that, check it out. These are not being passed in. So something here is missing. What is a section made up of? Let's have a look. A section is made up of a description, a title, a location, and a title. So this section doesn't have the data.
In the stuff. Yeah. So it's something about hooking up Forestry, and I'm sure there's just something there that we need to add to that section. Like, where does that section get defined?
Yeah. Well, let's use CodeC to find that out.
Yep.
CodeC. It's being defined through external link. No, it's not. How can I find out what's calling it? Another feature request for CodeC. Internal link, smart card. I guess it would be
it might be the main page, right?
Yeah. Let's do that. Let's do that. That would be main page. And there.
Yeah. Well, it'd probably be the routes page template, right?
The routes page. No, this is the main page we're looking at.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. Sorry.
All good. All good. Just making sure I understood as well. Let's find out actually.
So section, that's something coming from Contentful. That's something I set up. Now that I'm seeing it here. So section is coming from Contentful, so it won't have this data, right?
Here we go.
So
here it is.
Oh yeah, that looks good. The how we help block.
Oh, wait, I think we defined it in YAML as this, so we might have to switch that as well. That was my mistake.
That's okay.
So that Should now pass it all the way down. Let's have a look. And I know you have to go in a second, so we'll refresh here. See how it looks. Still no good. Help block is made up of title, location, description, image, and alt text. Phew.
I would try to walk through what Maxime did with those routes pages and just kind of confirm step by step. Are we doing something similar?
Sounds good.
If that doesn't work, then we might need to dive in with Maxime. He seems to be the forestry expert. So I do have to run. It was a pleasure, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Wish you a wonderful rest of your day. Gonna cut it a little bit short today, but we'll catch you all on the next one.
Yeah, pick it up right back next week. Take care, y'all.
Take care, everybody.